you are seeing it. Good morning, everyone on the webinar. So glad to have you here on Monday morning. I had a really interesting weekend and lots of moving things around and shaking my world up a little bit. So I had a very late night, but I'm here and I'm ready to jump in with you. For some reason, webinars are still, like I do Facebook Lives all the time, but webinars still make me a little bit nervous. So let's jump into it. Good morning, everyone on the webinar. Let's see who we've got here. Good morning, Christine, Diane, Narelle, and Roseanne. Good morning, good morning. I'd love for you to say hi in here. I'm going to start sharing straight away. Wait a minute, how do I share? Okay, I still have to work out how to put the PowerPoint up without it being in this mode as soon as I get here. But so today we're going to be talking about how to 5 challenges to connecting to your higher intuition. And so there's a difference between your, in my opinion, there's a difference between your higher intuition and your intuition, you know, your gut feeling that you go through. Everyone sort of has a bit of a rough idea of how to connect with themselves when they know what's right and wrong, right? But your higher intuition is a different thing altogether. This is the part of you that you can connect deeply with. It really is bringing you awareness of your flow in life and whether you're connecting with what your deepest desires are and who you truly are. So for those that are new on here, I'm just going to share a little bit about myself. So my name is Elizabeth Eleanor, if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you. And I have been mum of 2 beautiful children. I've been a remedial massage therapist for 20 years. And through that process of massaging, discovered that I could read energy or feel energy quite easily, deeply. In fact, has anyone ever experienced, good morning, Elaine. Has anyone ever experienced or had any understanding of the main calendar? There's actually a website, if anyone's interested, there's a website that you can go on that's called mayanmagics.com, and it tells you what your sun sign is. And so my sun sign for when it comes to the Mayan calendar is 3 Storm. And when it tells you what that means in the description. And when I discovered that, 3 means that I can feel vibrations on all levels, very from the micro to the macro. And when I read that, I thought, oh, no wonder I can do the energy work that I do, right? Is something that's in my nature. So energy and healing discovered me. It wasn't something that I went searching for. And it was a process of going from feeling quite powerless in my experience as a child and with my partner at the time, and really thinking that everyone knew what life was about except for me. I felt like I was a little bit of an alien. I truly believed that everyone was right and I was wrong. So I used to listen to everybody else instead of listening to my intuition and what that was guiding me to do. And so, Elaine, you would remember that I was in a small group for about 7 years doing past life regression and really, really stripping the layers off of, you know, the story that you end up experiencing as you grow up. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go along. But stripping those layers off of the story and, you know, past experiences and who knows what it was. But basically I was stripping down to my core of who I truly was. And through that process was able to see that I could actually work with people on an energetic level, became an energy healer and mentor, a spiritual mentor. And I've been doing that for now. I like to work it out actually, but I'm definitely more than 15 years. So that's a little bit about me. Through that process, then was able to, with that stripping of my personas, I suppose, is a good way of putting it, through that process, discovering that higher intuition and connecting with that part of myself that innately is a healer and is moving towards deeper understanding of why we're here and supporting people to go through that same process. So the first challenge that we end up having when we're coming to our connecting with our higher intuition is our old story. And so we are sponges between the ages of 0 and 7. So if you've had a challenging childhood, then everything that you were told and experienced when you were even further than 7, but definitely from 0 to 7, everything that you've experienced in that period of time, you absorb as being who you are and part of your reality. And so you believe all the stories. And our parents, we can't blame our parents for, I mean, some people think that, yes, we can blame our parents, but, you know, our parents didn't know any different. We have been evolving as humans as well. Good morning, Nellie. We've been evolving as parents as well and understanding ourselves as humans and what that means and how to delve into that. And so there was silly stuff said to us as kids, like, you know, oh, that's stupid, or you don't know any better, or you got to listen to me because you don't know, and little tiny things that none of us even really remember that became part of our reality and became part of who we are and our story. And so we end up in what I call the powerless, you know, circle where we're constantly feeling either powerless or pushing against that and being very defensive and being aggressive and really trying to protect ourselves from that sort of experience. So we end up listening to the wrong voice, or we don't even know that there is a voice there because we're so caught up in that story that that voice is the voice that we listen to. And so that is one of our challenges, is that we're listening to the wrong voice or the wrong, you know, the thing that's really been deeply ingrained in who we are. The other challenge that we can have is mind fog, or our challenges with health. And so if we are not eating a clean, healthy diet, then our bodies can be very heavy and have a very heavy vibration. And so our intuition, our higher intuition, is our source energy. And so trying to connect with that when you're feeling quite low, because when you're eating in an unhealthy way, so toxins in your foods like preservatives and lots of deep fried foods and things like wheat and dairy can inflame the body. And so things like those, when you're putting those things in our body, then our body's quite heavy and it makes it harder to connect to that intuition, that higher intuition, and really know what's best for us, because our bodies are not feeling light and clear. And our gut struggles as well. And if you've been anywhere on the planet and you've listened to or seen anything on Facebook, I'm sure that at one stage, or any other social media, I think even TVs and stuff like that. I don't watch TV, but I'm sure that there's programs these days that are talking about the connection between the gut and the mind, and that there's actually cells in the body. Good morning, Dora. There's cells in the body in the gut that are similar to the brain cells. And so our gut governs a lot of what's going on in our mind. So if we're not digesting well, then our mind has got brain fog and really can't focus properly. Are we taking enough water in as well, and clearing out and cleansing our body on a regular basis? And also, things that people don't think of is the toxins in our products. Sometimes we're putting things on our skin and breathing in the air that's got a lot of toxins, and we can't get away from that, the toxins in the air, right? Because it's just prevalent, it's just the way we're living. Though with COVID at the moment, there's been a lot of the air and the environment is cleaning up a little bit, you know, when everything went into the stop zone and the pause, the big pause. And so but still there's toxins in our in everything that we eat and drink and put on our skin if we're not aware of decreasing some of that. So when you put something on your skin, within 20 minutes it's in every cell of your blood. So you want to make sure that what you're putting on your skin is environmentally safe, is actually clean and clear and plant-based, because all of those things make your body a lot more cleaner and clearer and can focus and create that connection between yourself and your higher intuition. So the third thing that can cause challenges with that connection between you and your higher intuition is a chaotic life. If you're rushing around and you've got no time for thinking and reflecting and any downtime, any time to actually just pause, then if you can't pause, then there's no connection to actually having that time to stop and listen to what your body is saying and your higher intuition is saying. There's no opportunity for that mingling of that spirit into your body and that communication between the two of you, because you just between the two of you, as in you and your higher self. Because when your life is chaotic, then it's just on this treadmill, and your mind is in control, and you don't have any time, and you're just listening to your mind. I've just got to have some. I've got the fire on, and it's taking all the oxygen out of the air. Another reason why I have a window open or something to get some fresh air in, and all that toxins that I was just talking about. So if you are someone that is constantly going and you're not getting the opportunity to listen to and be still and listen to actually, hey Rhonda, listen to that deep knowing within you. And as I said, there's a difference between, in my opinion, there's a difference between the gut feeling and the normal sort of base level intuition and the higher level intuition that is flowing and governing your life. So if you're someone that your life has got, I call them bumps in the system. So you've got things going on and things just keep mucking up. You keep having chaotic experiences, or you keep having things go wrong in your life. I call them challenges, but you might, I've got this problem and that problem and this is going on and that's going on, and life has just got these full stops everywhere and no clear sentence. There's no flow in your life. You can't see this beautiful, gentle movement that's happening where you're gently moving towards the light in a way, you know. That's when you know that something's got to give. When you've got too much going on in your life and there's bumps in the system and everything's rocky and you're falling down the hills and you're tripping over things and, you know, your life is just mayhem, that's when you really need to stop and reflect and have some downtime and look at some of these things that I'm talking about. So one of the things, the fourth thing of connecting with your high, or not connecting, having challenges with connecting to your higher intuition, is second guessing. So anytime you doubt, worry, concern, any lower vibrational thoughts, every time you wonder if you're listening to the right voice, you're not. So wait a minute, let me pull that up a bit. You may have had a glimpse of hearing that voice, but as soon as you second guess it, your vibration has cut off with that energy and you're back in your mind. So as soon as you start being concerned about which voice am I listening to, am I doing the right thing, where do I need to go, do I turn left, do I turn right, should I say yes, should I say no, all of those things, you've moved back into the mind, you're back into this powerless vibration where you're allowing the actual mind to be the power and you're powerless to that energy. That's when you're going to find challenges with really deeply connecting with that energy that's the higher part of you. And the last one is a lack of faith. If you have no connection to a higher source, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what that higher source is, whether it's you believe in the universe, source energy, God, Allah, Buddha, all of those different, you know, from religion all the way to just spirituality. As soon as you have, if you don't have some sort of belief that there is a higher part of you, a higher connection to you, then you're cut off from that. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to be able to access it, because your belief, the particles that are governing you, the particles of vibration that are those thoughts that I'm here on my own, we're all human, when we die we're just turned into the earth and that's it. If you have that sort of belief, then to connect in with that higher part of yourself is almost impossible. And I say almost because I think of my son, who he was really, in fact, he was actually he instigated my connection with higher source. He was the one that created this spirituality. When he was born, and even like when he was old enough to talk and stuff, he used to come out with the craziest things. And I never ever said that what he was saying or doing was wrong. And so he used to come out with some crazy stuff. Like I remember once, this is one of the bigger ones, I suppose. Once we were in the car and he was looking out the window as we were driving, and he said to me, "Mum, when God was my father," and I just looked at him like, oh my gosh, what do you mean God was my father? Like, he's like, where did he get father from, right? When God was my father, I used to help him make clouds. We used to have pictures in the sky and make pictures with the clouds. And he said, up there is no police up there. There's no one up there because everyone does what they're supposed to do. And a little bit of down here is really, really big and colourful up there. And at the time I was like, what are you talking about? You know, like, when was this? Because, you know, by that stage I was in that process of thinking, this guy is a little bit crazy and he's making things up, because he'd been doing it for quite a few years. He had what he called air friends that he used to play with, and I had to stop him from playing with them at school and while he was asleep, because he used to wake up in the middle of the night because he was playing with these air friends. And so I asked him, like, when was this? When was it that you were playing, that you were with God as your father? And he had to think about it, and he said, it was when you had the blue car. And I thought, oh, I've got him. I've never had a blue car. And yeah, it was just really like, I thought, oh, you know, okay, now I can relate that this is just a kid making things up and blah, blah, blah. And it must have been about 6 months later, we went over to his dad's house for his visit, and we were dropping them off, and his dad was talking to a whole heap of mates, and they'd just been talking about what we called the Prem. So we had this Premier car when we were teenagers, and we didn't have any photos of it, and I didn't have a license, but I had bought the car, and Regan, my partner, the father of my kids, had a license, and he drove the car, but it was my car, and it was a blue car. And if we ever spoke about it, it was that we were speaking about the Prem. And so it, like, when he said the Prem, I remembered that I had this blue car, and I looked at Curtis and went, oh my gosh, who is this kid? And I remember just he used to come out with the weirdest things, like that he had all these tools in that he had before he was born, and that he left them in my belly. And months later, he ran past me, and I was sitting down having a cup of tea, and he stopped as he was going off to somewhere else, and he said, remember those tools that I was telling you about? And I said, yeah. And he said, you're going to give birth to them soon. Well, not long after that, I went to a psychic, and anyone that knows my story, the psychic was the one that said, you know, you can do what I do, but obviously you don't know it. And that's when all of a sudden I had spiritual energy all around me, and I didn't know what was going on. But that was the birth of my energy work and my spiritual work. And so now he actually doesn't believe in any, he's totally forgotten all of that, because around about 7 was when he stopped talking about his air friends, and I had to ask him what happened to them, where are they? And he said, he used to phase out a little bit, and he came back and he said, oh, they're actually not hanging around anymore, but they did say that they'd come back when I'm a teenager. And around about when he was a teenager, he used to have quite prophetic dreams, but all of that's gone now. Now he is a normal, like, hipster living in the city, you know, married to his job, hanging out with his mates, going to the pub, that sort of thing. And he doesn't believe in any of it. He believes in, he's a is it agnostic? I can't remember the word. He doesn't believe in God at all. So, however, I do believe that there's something that's still governing him. But if you don't have the faith, so somehow he's decided to switch off, and I don't know whether that will ever change. However, I do believe he had seeds when he was a child. And so your faith could be so innate within you, and such a strong connection, that you're not aware that you're being governed and connected to this higher source, and that you really do have a deep connection to source energy and a belief in source energy. However, how that plays out in your life is your own journey, right? So the lack of faith can actually cause a disconnection through the process. If you are, you know, if you really believe that you have a higher part of yourself, whether that's, you know, God, angels, archangels, you know, guides, all of those things can help you, guide you through your life and connect you to the flow that actually governs your experience, even through things like COVID, when things can still keep flowing in your life if you're really, really connected to that instead of being stuck in this powerless energy. So I hope you got some value out of that and gave you an opportunity to reflect on where you sit with your own connection to your higher intuition. So as I was saying, there's a difference, in my opinion, between your gut instinct and just sort of, like, should I go this way or that way, and your higher intuition that's really flowing your life in a beautiful way into your desired outcome in the, like, what you were here and born to do in the big scheme of things. So if you're watching the webinar and you're not connected to the Spiritual Warrior yet, so Elizabeth Ellen or the Spiritual Warrior, which is where everyone's watching on the Facebook Live, or you may be watching a watch party on Women of Light, on our on my clients page, and on Awaken the Lioness. So I've got 2 different private groups with my clients. So if you're watching on any of them, good morning or afternoon or evening, whichever time you might be watching. But if you are not connected, then click on the QR code. You can do that by putting on your phone, the camera on your phone, and just placing it over that image that's in front of you right now. And that the actual camera picks up those weird squiggles there, and it will then direct you into the Spiritual Warrior page and ask you questions or whatever it does. I'm not 100% sure what it does. But if you would like to connect, then go on to Elizabeth Ellen or the Spiritual Warrior, and we can, there's lots of information and you can engage on that page. And if you're someone that is aware that life's not flowing the way you would like it, and especially at the moment, we are in the big pause, right? We're in this place where it's been happening for a long time, but I believe that 2012 there was a big shift vibrationally. The world didn't stop like they thought, like 3D people would think that the world would stop when the Mayan calendar stopped. However, it was actually just a shift in a cycle and a movement into a new cycle and a different vibration. And since then, there's been this gentle movement, and we're in that now again. There's another movement with the energies that are happening at the moment. 2020 in Australia has been intense, from fires and floods and COVID and just so much going on at this period of time. And so if you're someone that's finding that is really disrupting your system and causing a lot of chaos in your world, and you would prefer to find out how to live in flow, and even what is flow, right? Do you want to know what flow is? Flow is not allowing or not being affected by some of the stuff that's going on. One of the things that's been happening to me is it's so much that I don't even take any notice of it anymore. Things like seeing triple numbers or 4 numbers, but often triple numbers. When in the spiritual world, that's something that a lot of people have been excited about, right? Oh, I saw 111 or 4 ones, like 1111 or something like that, 222, 555, whatever it might be. And that to me was going into the flow, was in that flow process of knowing that that you were connected in some way to your higher self and you were in this flow. I was saying to my daughter, I just went with my daughter to into Sydney and we did a photography session. I was saying to her, I'm seeing so many triple numbers. I can see 5 lots of triple numbers in one day. So I see 1111 without trying. I'm just like looking at the phone and it's 555, or seeing it on license plate numbers or various places, that it just happens so much now, but in one day, not even in once in a couple, once in a week or that sort of thing. It's like every day. I'm seeing them so often, it's unbelievable. And so that's one of those things that, like, you're in resonance vibrationally with the flow of the universe. And so if you're someone that's not experiencing that, there's going to be there is this real shift happening of separation, and you want to be on the right side of that separation, right? You want to be in a place where you're moving towards this beautiful, harmonious world that's where we're all in harmony and understanding and flowing with each other, and not in the chaos like what's happening in America at the moment. And so if you're someone who wants to know a little bit more about that, then just put into the comments here, good morning, Irene, perfect timing. If you want to put into the comments in here, yes, please, and we will be able to send you a link so that you could have a chat with me. I've got like half an hour consciousness calls where we have a bit of a session just to discuss what's going on for you in your world. And so also, I just see what I've got chats happening in. Thank you, Narelle. Narelle's just saying on the webinar that she highly recommends it. Thank you so much, hun. And so the other thing that I'd like to just point out is that once a month I also run what is called a meetup. For those that don't know, it's another platform other than Facebook. And this month I've got a guest speaker called Nicolette Jane, who's a beautiful sound healer. She creates an artist and poet, and she creates her own tarot cards or beautiful visionary cards. And she will be talking about the art of belonging, and that's on the 21st of July. So if you are someone that wants to know a little bit more about the meetup that's happening on the 21st of July, then just put meetup into the comments and we will be able to send you some information about that. So thank you so much for attending. I think this is my 4th webinar. I'm going to be getting a little bit better at it, I'm sure, as I go along. If you're interested in me talking about anything in particular, then get in contact with me and let me know what it is that you would like to know more about. If it's basic spirituality all the way through to quantum mechanics, I can talk about pretty much anything on those lines. And if I can't, I can actually research some information for you. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone on Facebook land. Take care and enjoy your day and your week. And everyone on the webinar, thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate everyone for supporting me through this process, and I hope I'm adding value to your week and to your consciousness in some way. So thank you so much, Diane, for being on here too. Take care, and I will send you all the replay because I've just worked out that I'm recording. Take care, everyone. See ya.